Serenity.
Very peaceful, beautiful shot. I think that the maker was carefully composing this. Although for me, this part here pulls me out a little bit. I would have played with just a few angles, taking a few steps to the right, a few steps to the left, angling myself a little differently. If possible, if you weren't going to fall off and fall in the water. You never know. You know, you might. But beautiful, peacefulness to this.
Fighting stance. 26.
It looks like you just reach out and touch him. His exposure is outstanding. The background, everything's outstanding about him. His angles here, the lighting on him is excellent. Love the wings out here.
Half moon over Presque Isle. 17.
Almost simple enough silhouette. The bush in the lower right-hand corner makes it a little busy down that way, and there's an awful lot of noise in the background. And the little purple cast to it rather than darker night sky might have helped it a little bit. Got a little faster shutter speed for the night.
Little blue heron. 22.
Nice composition on the heron. Nice angle on him. Again, backgrounds can make or break a shot. The background is busy here, and the maker clearly tried to blur it out some, but it is still bright enough with all those different shapes there that it is fighting with your subject. If you couldn't stop down any more in camera, then in post either darken or blur out the background even a little bit more. The legs are also just a little bit hot on here.
Snowy silhouette. 20.
So nice soft light part of the day. And we've seen images today where they seem to be taking at high noon. Here we've got overcast sky. The lighting is very even. Part of the problem is though that you're not. You've got subject here, here, and here, and it's hard to know exactly where to be. I think simplicity in the images, as we've seen tonight, seems to add to higher scores, and maybe just focusing on this guy alone would give you that simplicity you need rather than three groupings to that kind of fight.
Ice. Hunter mile 85. 27.
Great lighting, great sweep back around the corner through the tunnel. The depth and dimension are definitely there. It's dimensional. The different colors are quite striking, subtle but striking. Very neat shot.
Frozen flowers. 19.
I think it was neat to see this, and I love the scattered purple little bits that take us through and sharpen us here. Feels just very harshly contrasting with the white being completely blown out here and here. Needed to tone that down a little bit.
Top heavy with all the black on the
Yeah,
top.
then you've got all these little
The
bright
visual
things here
waves
that make
upside
you-
down.
Yeah.
Chair. $25.
Lighting outstanding, exposure outstanding, it's just simple and real pleasing. And you know where to look, and you kind of look around a little bit more. Other things, these don't distract.
On the Shore. $18.
Good catch, light in his eye. Close to good exposure on the bird. Some of his white parts are a little bit hot. Once again, it's just harsh midday light and distracting background.
Waiting. $18.
This photo is an almost. I mean, it has the potential. You've got the two pelicans on the perch, but again, we've got the bright light of midday. And in order for this photo to work, the head angles have to be right. This guy is looking away, and that really takes away from it. When you've got two together, they have to be complementary or interactive or something. If they start looking away, then it doesn't work so well.
Vegetables and honey pitchers. $23.
Once again, like the chair, very simple, elegant, beautiful lines. I mean, this line, I mean, the whole thing, there are a lot of circles here to give a lot of energy. Then we have all the energy in here. If you're going to do a studio shot, you need to watch out then for a lot of the details. You don't want this here because that's distracting. And this has got to be tack sharp to do this. And there's just softness here that distracts a little bit.
Bridge Street Crossing. $27.
And you can feel the beauty in the scene and in the shot and in the exposure, the composition. The starburst is a great little kicker there. And a couple of the lights have the beautiful rays. The real distraction would be the upper left-hand corner, that bright building, whatever, in the background. Sort of takes your eye off that direction. Down there a little bit also. But the whole 80% from that side on over is just stunningly beautiful. Very nice.
A troop of mushrooms. 18.
Well, now, first of all, let me congratulate the maker on finding something useful to do with when you see these mushrooms that have occurred after too much rain. So I was like, ooh, mushrooms. That said, the lighting is very, very harsh on them, and I assume that this was taken with flash. You need to diffuse the flash or carefully aim the flash. Flash from direct flash can be very harsh and kind of tunneled. If you can make it a little bit larger by diffusing it, it becomes a larger light source, will cover a little bit more area, a little softer, and will give you a little nicer result.
Half empty. $28.
Love it.
Mesa Arch. $27.
It's a classic. It's a great shot. The lighting is beautiful. The textures show the depth, dimension are definitely there. It's awesome shot.
Winter at the Beach. 26.
This has a lot of impact for me, and it's exposed well. Notice the details in the bright white and all the way up to black. The only nit with this is that we've got this out of focus part here, and this is a kind of shot where you could certainly have done it and checked your depth of field to get this in focus as well.
Great range in that shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
great tonal range.
Oh, the orchids. Or oh, those orchids. 21.
There's a beautiful simplicity to this that just makes it so artsy. The arch is beautiful. You have your focus. As you move up, your focus goes right into here, which is kind of where you want to be as these two guys. So, I mean, it's just got a lot of impact. I think maybe this is the problem I run into is that this guy is kind of the lone. He's the different character. And oftentimes when you have something different in an image, you focus on that. So if that weren't there, I think it would have a stronger impact.
Should have picked it.
Picked it or just Photoshop?
A moment of freedom at the beach. $22.
So again, there's an elegance in the simplicity. There's great green, or I shouldn't say green, that's not positive, but great texture showing there. There's some subtle differences in the lighting across the frame. The shadows leading out of the lower left hand do take your eye somewhat out of the frame. Possible that the shadows could have been fully included and echoed the uprights.
Is that bothering?
Not really.
Fender Bender. $24.
Another one that has a ton of impact from, notice that there's absolutely nothing distracting in the background. Everything is there for a reason. If he were tack sharp on his face and arm, this would have gotten a 30, I guarantee it.
Station. Pacho. $23.
I just keep looking at this and I want to take one step over to the right so that everything is dead even. Like Ellen was saying, when you're doing symmetry, it's got to be symmetric, and it's like one step to the right.
Lovely. $20.
Fabulous pose, colors pop, background's muted, great composition, touch soft once again on her face, eyes are engaging, it's a beautiful shot.
Butterfly on butterfly bush. $19.
The butterfly is nicely exposed on the butterfly bush part. The trouble, once again, is the background. Literally, when I first looked at this, I saw, what is this design that they've got going? And then I had to finally switch and say, oh, the subject is butterfly on butterfly bush, and it is just distracting background. You got to watch your angles so that your backgrounds are complementary and don't fight.
Santa Rosa sunset. $22.
I like the angle here up the coast. We've just got this nice leading edge, takes us in, we say hi to those people. We go in, I wish I didn't say hi to the flag there, because I'd rather say hi over here. But nice exposure and pretty time of the day.
Yosemite Vista. $25.
It's a fabulous sky. You pray for skies like that when you're out shooting. Depth of blue is fetching. The cloud formations are compelling. It's cut into thirds. The bottom is a little unspectacular somehow. Yeah, it needs something more to anchor your eye on, or a little more, a little less. But yeah, what a moment.
Sweet Natalia. Natalie, sorry. $20.
The softness of the edges complements, baby kind of theme and subject. But even when we have that kind of softness, we need tack sharpness on eyes. Sharpest thing here is the headband decoration thing, when it really needs to be here on her eyes, just a little bit more to her nose and maybe even her mouth just a little bit. But beautiful angle, and for a family shot, this is a keeper treasure.
Breezy Reflection. $18.
Its overall impact here just kind of doesn't quite punch me in the face. The colors are a mute. They're too mute to hold my attention. They're not sharp enough to keep it. This is just dark enough that it's bothersome, but not artsy, because I can see too much detail in here that maybe I don't want to see. That's cool having this guy here. He's a major center of attention.
Early Autumn. $21.
It's a nice composition. It's causing you to, impelling you to focus on the reds, the dappled leaves up and down the tree trunk in the foreground. The background is not so busy that it necessarily competes, but gives you a sense of place in the woods. Reds are a touch hot, maybe a little out of focus. Yeah, it's
Anne Barge's Sunset. $20.
Trees in front of sunsets can be very compelling. I like the silhouette and the not putting anything extra around in it. There is something that feels like we've got halos or something. Are you guys seeing halos? Or
No.
a little bit around
No.
something here? Okay, good. I'm seeing things. Never mind. The energy feels a little bit high because with the intensity of the colors back here, you've got a boatload of detail in the tree branches. So if you're going to have a subject that is that intense, you may have to limit it, because imagine if you took off the top part of the image so that you remove all of that branch against blue and now have just more vertical lines with a little bit of branches against bright colors. And it simplifies it down a little bit.
Pardon my back. 18,
I would pardon his back if his back popped more. You know, this is the subject, and he is up against, once again, these really bright backgrounds, and he's darker than the background, so my eye kind of goes back here and not to where the subject is.
Frosty, 23,
Very artistic elegance to it. There's a big picture that's pleasing, and then all the details are also very pleasing as you work your way around the frame and look at it. So it's really interesting and a very nice shot.
stained glass, 20,
See what I mean? When you shoot symmetry, you should be symmetrical. And it works nicely, and the yellow against the blue is very nice, and you know, it's nicely seen and nicely photographed.
Sunset Cruise, 20,
If this boat were just a little lighter, I think I would go onto the subject a little bit more. It's just a bit dark, blending in with the little bit of darkness. Well, I understand the way it was taken, but this color is about the same as that, so they kind of blend in. And the sky is just a nice sky, but it's so bright, we're up here a little bit too much.
Dragon Pose, 27,
Fabulous shot. Great angles. Sharpness is there. Background is muted. Doesn't compete. Stick or stem that he's on, a little bit heavy. There's not a delicateness to it that could be helpful if he were on something a little wispier, perhaps.
We're just going to have to tell them to sit on something else.
Peekaboo, 21,
Definitely has a cuteness factor, adorable subject, and the black and white leads to drama with it and the expression. Detail to the point of almost over detail perhaps, but that's a style, and the style can work with this. The thing is that then that detail disappears kind of abruptly there, so I might have considered cropping the picture off, because it's kind of like, I don't mind it where there isn't any detail and any information, but the in-between, that pulls me a little bit away.
What about coming lower on it, just a little bit more? See where
Yeah,
the
if-
light end in.
If you got down even a little bit lower, that might have been another good shot.
stop signs lacking, 17,
I think urban decay can make for interesting subjects, but we have so many competing elements here that just take away from the impact. We've got a wire here, we've got all this back here, it doesn't help. We've got bright yellow here, and bright yellow is a strong color. We've got all this foreground that detracts. This guy, I mean, is an element with the sign, but he's also not an element with the sign. So trying this at different angles, another time of day, stealing the sign, taking it home, doing something.
Don't listen to him, but ask him about a Pizza Hut sign sometime.
28,
Sweep. There's movement. There's elegance. There's great exposure. Frame is filled out nicely. Leaf coming in from the right beats a little bit now, but it's a beautiful shot, beautiful exposure, and it does have movement and dances a little bit. Very cool.
Abandoned boat on Lake Erie. $16.
Abandoned boats can be great subjects, but again, this is taken not only at a bright time of day, but it's also an overexposed image with blown out highlights. And so to tell your story, you don't want to be losing the highlights and have your subjects kind of so overexposed.
Blizzard at the boathouse. $21.
I definitely get a sense of blizzard. It is. I think there's a color cast to this that makes the impact of this not quite as strong, and you've got this thing here which is actually strong. It's pretty strong. That just kind of pulls your eye off to where it doesn't want to be. So I would say I'd like to see this worked on with angles and composition just a little bit different, and just to fix the color cast.
Desert Tree, Death Valley, California. 16.
Tree in the middle is a fabulous subject. It's just beautiful and great to look at. The sky is nice with those clouds. Time of day, once again, brings some harsh light down, but it's still a good shot because of that. The two ranches in the foreground in either of the corners are very distracting. A step forward and get those out of the image would have been very helpful, but you got great eye for a subject. Beautiful tree.
Fall meets Mitt. $20.
Nice simple subject that can tell a story. With a subject like this, you can play with your lighting and your exposure some, because here we've lost all the detail in the whites and we have some really blocked up shadows. You can aim the lights around, you can use reflectors, whatever you need to just put a little bit of light in there. And you probably don't want to have the circular subject in nearly the dead center of the image either. Putting this just a little bit off center would add a little bit more energy to it.
Maddest Joy. $21.
Once again, a very beautiful subject, hampered by the background, which just takes our eye away. There's no positiveness to this. It's too much in focus or competing lines. You've got something like that which is distracting, where your subject is here. This is where you want to be.
Bougainvillea.
Bougainvillea hedge. 15.
Once again, harsh midday light, lower right-hand corner, the brightness of the sidewalk pulls your eye down there, and a little patch of sky up in the middle pulls your eye up there. When the subject is in the middle and it's a sweep of color, there's a lot of compositions possible within this frame. There's a lot of nice abstracts that could have been made in the center there with the color and the flowers themselves.
Early autumn reflections. $18.
You can see why it was tempting to take photos this day. The reflections, the lake, it feels very peaceful. But these big, heavy foreground objects, rocks, boulders, whatever, are so big and massive that instead of just gently framing the subject, they are competing. Imagine this shot without them, with just maybe a gentle lead-in of something like this, and going in, and I think the shot would be a lot stronger.
Well, this is weird.
Compositionally outstanding. You know, he is placed in an area, he's not center, he's off to the side. I'm looking exactly where I want it, where the maker wants me to, because that's weird, and certainly whatever it is weird. It's just the technical issues here with the exposure, the reflection off the water is just so hot that it's hard just to look at the image for any length of time.
Beauty of pink.
Tremendous impact. Colors pop. They're vibrant. The exposure's nice. The background is distracting. A little bit centered. A little bit crowded.
Enough already.
For me, this has a lot of impact. Using a flash to pick up some of the snowflakes falling is a nice idea. The trouble with doing that then, though, is that it gives a bright spot in your foreground, which then draws your eye down and a little bit away from the rest of the picture. But I love the composition. I love the concept of it. Really neat. If the flash had been aimed up a little bit further, I think it would be even stronger.
Deer crossing. $25.
Notice the time of day here. I mean, this is the golden soft light time of the day, and for a lot of photography, you know, it's getting up real early in the morning or staying out late enough to do this. You know, a lot of times when we do photo trips, you know, we're up, you know, 4 or 5 in the morning or earlier. You know, we shoot till about 10 o'clock, come back, take a nap, and you go back out again. And here it's just a great time of the day. That's gorgeous. I love those guys crossing.
1913 to 1917 ledgers. $20.
Nice textures. Going into the one photo that Ellen critiqued with the black around the edges, it kind of takes your eye into those negative spaces and away from the subject a little bit.
That's it?
Is it?
Okay.
Actually.